Hello students, we welcome you again to this second day of the online class, and we are dealing with a very serious problem that humankind is facing, especially our own country, that is the water scarcity. We saw yesterday in the city of Chennai how different types of people are affected. Rich people, middle class people, poor people are affected due to the scarcity of water. And we saw the poor people are the most affected people. The rich people can afford to buy water from the private companies. The middle class people somehow find their own source of water by digging well and so on. The poor people are fed to buy water very sparingly, and they are the one affected mostly by the scarcity of this water. Today let us come to another topic. What are the solutions to these problems? What are the alternatives to solve this problem? One way is depend on the government for supply, but we said government is able to supply only half to the population, half of the population only they are able to supply water. But what about the others? Everyone has got the equal right to have access to the water. So let us see what can be done. So take your textbook, page number 114, and in search of alternatives. Let us see what can we do or what can be done to solve these problems. So the situation that we saw in Chennai, the water scarcity suffered by the people of Chennai, that is not unique. There are many towns in India which are facing this acute crisis of water scarcity. So in India and in other parts of the world also there are countries that are severely affected by the water scarcity. So let us come only to this India, and there are many other cities just like Chennai. There are many other cities are also there that are affected by water scarcity. And let us see, during the summer months, that is April, May, June, that is a time that India is facing acute shortage of water. And the shortage in municipal water supply, we said the municipality or the government is able to supply to the needs of only half of the people. So they are well short of the water supply. And so what can we do? It is encouraging the private companies to take up the water supply. And the last class I said, how does the private companies find water sources? They give money to the farmers in advance to help them to do the farming, and in return they get the right to dig well in the farming land. So they dig very deep wells and pump out water with motor pumps, electric pumps. That is how the private companies get water. And as a result, I said in the last class, the underground water level is going down and down, making the earth more and more dry. So on the one hand, the private companies are exploiting the water sources and supplying to the town people, and they get a lot of profit. But as a result, the farmers, the landowners are suffering, and the people at large are suffering because our earth becomes drier and drier. And so it is said that in India, a person in urban area they need 135 liters of water per day. So a person living in the town, in order to live a normal life, he needs 135 liters of water per day to take bath, to wash, for all the other needs and so on. Then that is almost, we can say, 7 buckets of water is required. 135 liters means it is equal to 7 buckets, and that is the amount fixed by or determined by the water commission. So people in the authority, they have made a survey and realized, suppose if they get 135 liters of water in a day, a person in the town will be able to live his normal life. But people who are living in the slums, you know what is slum? People where they live together like colonies. There is no enough place for them to move around. They will be making small huts and will be staying there. So they will be having less than 20 liters of water per day. That is 1 bucket. So see the comparison. A person who is living in the town, he needs 7 buckets of water to live his normal life. Whereas a person who is living in the slum, he has to manage his day with 1 bucket. So 1/7 only the slum people are able to get. See the difference? That's why we say the water supply is not equal. Government is not able to supply in equal to all the people in our country. So people living in luxury hotels may consume as much as 1600 liters of water per day. So again another high extreme. Very rich people, they go and live in the hotels, luxury hotels. Per day they have to pay lakhs and lakhs of rupees, and everything what they need will be provided. So it is said that such kind of people who are the richest people, or the rich people who are living in the very high luxury costly hotels, they spend up to 60 liters of, not 60, 80 buckets of water per day. See what an injustice done. A person who is living in the slum, he has got only 1 bucket of water per day, just 1 bucket. An ordinary person living in the town, he has got 7 buckets. But the richest people who can afford lakhs and lakhs of rupees to spend in a day, he can get even up to 80 buckets of water. So how they are wasting the water while others are struggling for water. So that is the normal situation that is going on in our country. We are not caring for the other. Everyone is thinking, I should have enough for me, I should have what is needed for me. I am not worried about what others are getting or not. So we need to shed such kind of ideas that I am for myself. We should stop thinking that very selfish way, and instead we must think about how can I help my friends or my neighbors or my fellow citizens. We must think that way. Then only we can really grow in that national unity. Otherwise, each one will become selfish, and we will consider other person as our enemy, and there will be total enmity, we can say. We will be fighting against each other. There will be hardly any unity or anything. So when we say the water is not supplied equally, we can say it is a failure from the part of the government, because it is a duty of the government, as I said in the previous class, to enable the citizens to exercise their right to life. Government has to provide the essential things as well, and water, food, shelter, clothes, all these are essential things, and it is the government's duty to provide them. So when government is able to cater only to the half of the people, needs of the half of the people, that means government is a failure. It is not because there is no water. There are people who can spend 80 buckets of water per day, and other person is able to get only less than 1 bucket. So the government has to regulate the use of water and make sure that it is supplied to everyone equally. So if not, we can clearly say it is a failure from the part of the government. The government has failed to provide or to protect the rights of the people. That is a serious negligence from the part of the government. And some people used to say that government is unable to supply the amount of water that is needed, and many of the municipal water departments are running at a loss. We should allow private companies to take over the task of water supply. So some people, what do they say? They argue that since government is unable to supply water to all the people, if you depend on this government, some people or half of the people will not get water supply. So some people say, instead of government continuing this work, what we must do? We must allow the private companies to take up this task of supplying water to the people. So let us see why they say it should be given to the private people, private company. And earlier I explained how do the private people get the water. They dig deep wells and pump out water in the large quantity, and as a result it has got side effects. The groundwater level will go down and down, and the earth will become drier and drier. It will be unsuitable for agriculture. Without irrigation we will not be able to do. So that problem is there. Let us see, why do these people say that water supply should be given to the private company? The first reason they say is, throughout the world, the water supply is a function of the government. There are very few instances of private water company. So they say, throughout the world, in most of the countries, it is the government who is supplying the water, because it is the duty of the government, one of the primary duties of the government, to supply water to its citizens. And in most of the world, in most of the countries, that is what is happening, what is taking place, that the government is taking responsibility of supplying water to the private companies. Then there are areas in the world where public water supply has achieved universal access. So in some places the people or the government has been able to supply water regularly to the people, and they are able to achieve universal access. They are able to get access to the water supply in the universal level. And a small box is given below in that last page, the bottom of the page 114. We can see that Porto Alegre is a city in Brazil. So it is an example of a city in Brazil, and though there are many poor people in this city, what is remarkable is that it was a far lower number of infant deaths as compared to most other cities of the world. So what is the speciality of this city is that there is the infant deaths are very low. So in spite of having so many poor people, usually where there are poor people, they are not able to supply good nutritious food to the children. They are not able to give medical care to the children, and so many children used to die in the poor countries. So this city in Brazil, there are a lot of poor people are there, but the children are not dying. The death rate of the children are very less. Let's see why. And the city's water department has achieved universal access to safe water, and this is the main cause behind the lower number of infant deaths. So, though the people are poor, the government in that place has been able to achieve a universal access of water. That means able to give clean drinking water, safe drinking water to all the people in that region. So they are not getting sick because they are drinking clean and pure water. So that way the credit goes to the government. So that is the reason why in this city the death rate of the children are very low, because of the government able to supply clean drinking water to all its citizens. Then the average price of water is kept low, and the poor are charged half the basic rate, and whatever profit the department makes is used to improve the water supply. So the government is charging a very low rate from the people for this water supply. And for the poor people, again government is giving concession. They need to give only half. So people who are a little well-to-do or people who are a little rich, they have to pay the full rate. The total rate is very low. And the poor people are given again concession, so that they also can afford this to buy this pure drinking water. So if the government is keeping the same level for everyone, people who are very poor, they will not be able to afford to buy this pure drinking water. They may go and drink some other water, and then they will start getting sick, and again it will be a problem for the government. Government will have to take care of their health, medical facilities, all that. So instead, government has realized that giving or making the people to get access to the clean drinking water, that is one of the important things to keep the people healthy and save them from dying, and that has been done by this government, and therefore the death rate of the children are very, very low. And after collecting this money from the people, so if there is some profit, what will the government do with that? Government will try to improve the supply of the water. So that money will not go to the pockets of the officers. They will not be taken by the government to give advertisement about its performance and so on. What is our government is doing that? They do any little work, we can see they spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees to do advertisement in the TV, in the newspaper, flex banners everywhere. So this government is not doing that. Whatever income is there, it will be used by that department to improve the facilities more, to improve the water supply more. So the more money the government gets, the better the performance, the better the task, better the function will be. So the government has realized that it does not need advertisement, it does not need any external advertisement, but its own activities will speak for itself. The people themselves will speak about the government, that this government is doing well. That is the real advertisement. But unfortunately, the modern governments, they have realized, or they are relying upon the advertisement alone. Just give the wrong understanding or wrong idea to the government, or false notions about development and so on. Thank God that this government in Brazil, they have not taken up to that way or that method of spreading their fame, but they have realized that in serving people, making them to live a better life, that is more important, and that is much more needed, and they have become successful in that. And The working of the water department is transparent and the people can have a direct say in deciding which projects the department should take up. And through the process of public meetings, people hear what the managers have to say and also vote in their priorities. So, the government is really performing in a democratic way. So, people are given freedom to decide what should be the priority of the government in taking up developmental tasks. So not what the government wants they are doing, but they will ask the people, what work shall we do next? What task shall we take up next? What is your more emergency need, more immediate need? The people are given a say, and then government will listen to the ideas of the people, opinions of the people, and the government will tell the people we shall do this way, and they will listen to them. And when the election comes, they will see whether this government is good or not. So it is the real democratic way of functioning of the government. They have really planned out nicely, and they have done well, and they are improving. So this is an example of a village, a poor village, but the government is functioning very well and they are doing very well. The people are very happy, and we also wish that all the governments in our country, different state governments, they also follow this method of listening to the people and implementing the developmental works which people are in need of. Then our country would have developed much faster and would have become a real power center in the world. But let us wait and see whether it will happen or not. So we shall wind up for today, and the next class we shall continue again to find out what are the other alternative methods to solve the problem in our country, the drought in our country, and we are confident that we will find out some solutions and we will overcome this problem, and we will march ahead where all our citizens will have sufficient and safe drinking water. Let us wait for that day. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.